Now, the tech industry is changing fast, the field of UX is changing even faster, and so are the skills that you need to bring as a UX writer. So today, I share what skills really matter when you want to succeed as a UX writer in 2026. So stick around. Hi, my name is Kat and I teach people about writing in tech, and on this channel you will find everything that you need to know about writing, the tech industry, how they go together, and also cultural matters that circle around all of that. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell. And if you want to dive deeper, I have something really cool for you, my Foundations of UX Writing bundle, which includes my Introduction to UX Writing online course and a lot of very handy, helpful resources. For example, a prompt library, a user psychology cheat sheet, and a workbook that helps you practice UX writing. If you are a writer and want to enhance your skill set, this is the bundle to go for, so make sure to check it out. The link is also in the description box below. So I have been in writing and communications for about 14 years. I've spent about 7 of them in UX writing. I've helped many people transition into the field, and I am also a passionate observer of the field. And as such, as I said, I've noticed many shifts and changes during the last couple of months, which is why I created this 2 video series in which we will first take a look at what companies are looking for. And in the second video, I will share how I would proceed if I wanted to become a UX writer or content designer in 2026. And today we're in the first of the 2 videos, meaning we will analyze what companies are looking for in UX writers this year. And of course, I have my own experience, my own observations, and my own interpretations, but I made sure to check them against real market demands. So I also analyzed 38 up-to-date job ads for UX writers and content designers across countries to make sure that I can really give you an unbiased rundown here. And the first thing that we can notice quite generally is that we see that the job of the UX writer today tends to be much more strategic or strategy focused than it was a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, it was indeed more about the actual writing of literal words, the text elements, and gathering all the information it requires to make good writing decisions. But today, it is much more about looking at the bigger picture of the purpose that the product has for your overall company strategy and how it can best fulfill that purpose and how you as a UX writer can contribute to that. And then it is mostly about defining the communication strategy within the product, the storyline, and putting all of that into very detailed principles and guidelines and guardrails, and then either do the writing yourself or let AI handle the writing part. And that means that the focus of UX writers shifts to defining the strategy, creating the guidelines, and conducting quality assurance. Okay, so this is the first big shift that we're seeing when we take a look at job ads and what is required by the job market. So that's what we're generally looking at. The role of the UX writer or the content designer is moving from a rather operational role to a very strategic role. And that comes with a demand in certain skills. And first of all, what we're seeing very clearly is you still need to have great writing skills. There is no way around that. Even for top level positions like the head of copy and content position at Anthropic, you will see candidates need to prove their writing skills in order to be considered for a role. And that's also because quality assurance and briefing AI systems require exactly that. So writing skills are still a given, and we also see that reflected in the job descriptions that I looked at. Needless to say that here we're talking about professional writing skills, not the I am good with words because I've loved writing since I was a teenager kind of writing skills. Okay, always keep that in mind. Professional writing skills in the specific writing field that we're looking at, as well as probably neighboring writing skills. Now, something new that we're seeing is a very strong rise in the importance of brand storytelling and translating brand storytelling into usable voice and tone guidelines, which are usable for both other human writers and for AI. This has always been kind of an important practice, but we're seeing that the emphasis on this is indeed growing. And that's also because more and more digital products flood the market. More and more products are AI generated, and they use AI generated generic language, AI slop, if you will. And so having a distinct and well applied brand voice will become an even stronger competitive advantage. Not nice to have, but an essential competitive advantage. And again, this is all about understanding business and brand strategy. Also, in some cases, helping to shape business and brand strategy, and from that concluding implications for the brand voice and defining guidelines, and also designing brand voice guidelines so that they can be used. And for me personally, I can definitely confirm that refining and adding to the brand voice guidelines and being the protector and the advocate for our voice and tone guidelines, that is probably one of my most crucial day-to-day tasks. And then we have something that you can probably already imagine being one of the top mentions in job ads. And again, I can confirm, and that is AI literacy. Now, AI literacy in the context of UX writing means that you should know how the most popular tools work, like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, and you should also know how you can use them specifically for writing product copy and other relevant tasks. And that also means that you know how to structure and phrase your prompts, you should know how to brief and train an agent, know how to build proper briefing materials and resources, and especially know where AI tools are good at when it comes to UX writing and where they are bad at. There are also more advanced use cases like linking your Claude to Figma and automating the application of entire content design systems, but that is something that really depends on the company and the product that you work for. And closely related to that, talking about content design systems and scalable patterns, that's also another big skill that is required this year that has not been as important 1 or 2 years ago. So companies often expect their UX writers to build and use content design systems and combine them with AI to automate content production at scale. Okay, so you establish the rules, you build the basics, you set up the system, you test the system, you run the system, and then you continuously improve the system, and then you can automate your content production. That is something that companies look for and that they're highly interested in. So some experience with that, or at least the willingness and the ability, the curiosity to experiment with these systems is very much in demand. And I suspect that this is going to become even more important in the future. Just like the next skill, which is also among the top 3 mentions in the job ads that I went through, and again, I can confirm, the next skill that is highly requested right now is knowledge and experience regarding research and data analysis, meaning we don't make random intuitive copy or brand decisions based on our gut feeling, but we derive them from actual user data. We explain them with the help of user data, and we test them with real user data. And for this, UX writers are now expected to be able to structure and conduct interviews, be literate in basic data analysis, run A/B tests, and as I said, derive decisions from all of that. So if you can prove experience with that in your portfolio or CV, that will be a big, big plus, because the time when you were asked why you choose certain words and you say, I think it is just the most empathetic way to say it, these times are over. And again, I can confirm that from my personal experience. I participate in user and customer research a lot, and me and the team look at numbers and stats a lot. You might know that I'm responsible for our entire written customer communication, so we also look at conversion rates, opening rates of newsletters and emails, heat maps to see where people scroll on our website. So overall, qualitative and quantitative insights just play a major role for the writing work that I do. So I can definitely confirm that. And we also see that in the job ads. Now, another area of expertise that is becoming more and more important is accessibility and inclusion. First of all, because it has become a legal requirement in many countries. And second, because AI is notoriously bad at it. So setting up briefings and establishing guidelines and doing really thorough, careful quality assurance, those things are very important in terms of inclusion and accessibility, but that requires, of course, knowledge of accessibility and inclusion standards and how to apply them to UX copy and information architecture and even brand voice and communication guidelines. And ultimately, and this is not new, this is basically old but gold, we have collaboration skills. Those are also among the top 5 skills that were mentioned in the job ads that I was looking at It's all about navigating networks of stakeholders and customers and management and team members and seeing where and how you need to involve them, and then to do so smoothly and effectively so that you covered all of their interests and restrictions and limitations and have the perfect product copy in place that aligns with your stakeholders' needs. So this is something that will definitely remain important, AI or not. This is definitely something that you still need. Now, looking at the bigger picture of these required skills, what we see is a growth, a broadening of our field of action. So while it indeed was a lot more about the actual words and phrasing a couple of years ago, UX writers now have to consider and manage a broader scope of activities, including technical integration and automation and communication strategy and brand strategy and much more. And there are some upsides and downsides to this. The upsides are that, from my point of view, the job is getting even more interesting and more exciting, also more powerful when it comes to product and process impact. So we have more impact in general, and our job profile grows closer to neighboring disciplines, for example, marketing and brand strategy, and even product management. So if you choose to transition out of UX writing later on, you will be able to bring a lot of relevant skills that could make such a transition much easier in the future. Now, the downsides are that our job profile is also becoming more complex, more demanding, more versatile, in the sense of us being required to bring more and more diverse skills in order to have a chance to land a job. It's simply more demanding. And a lot of the skills that you see here come with experience, which makes it even tougher for juniors and beginners to find their place in this job market. And it means that as a beginner, you might need to use a different approach to land a job than what would have worked a couple of years ago. But don't worry about that too much just yet, because the good news is we will discuss exactly that in my next video, the second part of this 2-video series, where I share how I would approach entering the field of UX writing in this day and age. For today, we are good to go. Let all of that sink in. Share your thoughts in the comments if you like. Share your experience, your emotions and wisdom as well if you like. As I always say, you are seen and heard here, and this is also a space where we can all together discuss these things. So if you want to share something, feel free to do so and leave a comment. Also, again, I highly recommend checking out my Foundations of UX Writing bundle if you want to start out in the field. Link is in the description box below. You might also want to check out writewithdrkat.com for more writing education, which will definitely be useful if you want to start out in the field. And apart from that, as always, keep on writing, enjoy the process, and I hope to see you sometime soon.